in August of 2007, I was home with our two sons while my wife was away for the evening, and they were both napping, and I had put Jake down in his bassinet to rest for a bit while I prepared his bottle for him, and as it was quiet, I gave him a little bit of time, and when I was ready, I went to get him and found him unresponsive. And at that time, I did CPR as well as calling 911, and when the paramedics arrived, they took over with his care, and we went to the local hospital here in Elmira, and my wife was tracked down. She was in an event at school where she had just gotten a teaching job and was about to start her school year. And she arrived at the hospital, and at that time we really didn't know a whole lot except that he needed to be transferred. Jake went on a Mercy flight to Strong in Rochester, and my mother, Holly, and I then made the drive to Rochester, and that was on a Monday evening. And at some point that evening, somebody did talk to us, and it became pretty clear that things were dire. I don't think we knew until the next morning.
Well, they had done a CAT scan at Elmira, at Arnett Ogden, and they were very obtuse about the results. But we knew even then that it didn't look good as far as his brain activity, and they did tell us that evening, that Monday night in Rochester, that there was no sign of any brain activity, but that they would repeat the scan the next morning and that would tell them more.
And what I remember about that next morning was the doctor sat us down, and when she sat us down, there was a fresh box of Kleenex on the table, and that told me everything I needed to know before she ever said anything. You know, our hardest moment.
Oh, sure.
And at some point during that day, Holly and I had some private time together, and we actually started, I don't remember who brought it up, but we said that we would like to approach the hospital staff and say, is organ donation a possibility? And at that point, I believe, is when they started to talk to us about some of what might have to happen, but they actually told us that a representative from the OPO, from Finger Lakes Donor Recovery Network, was on their way to approach us. So if we hadn't said anything, we would have been approached probably very soon. I don't know how soon, but soon, within the day.
In the staff, we spoke with Joe Carter. He was our coordinator. We spoke with him early that afternoon, probably. It was probably within a matter of an hour or two after we first approached Dr. Connolly about it.
And it was very clear that Joe and Dr. Connolly worked closely together in sharing information. I think they sat down with us together at one point.
I think when we first met with Joe, she introduced him and sat down with us to kind of find out how we felt about different aspects and kind of give us an overview of donation and how it works and what our options were, so to speak. And we just sort of went from there.
He was very respectful of what our wishes were and really tried to find out exactly what we were comfortable with and what we would like. Initially, Holly and I had said that we would like to have Jake removed from life support and be able to hold him in his final moments without all of the tubes and everything, all the medical devices connected to him, and just have that last moment. And Joe explained to us that that would be a possibility, but it would limit what kinds of donations would be able to happen, particularly with the heart. And we found out that his heart valves could be donated in that manner, but his heart could not. In order to be a heart donor, he would have to be on that life support right up until the last moment. And Holly and I were initially
Very reluctant.
reluctant to do that.